What's up, YouTube? This is Biblical Truther, coming to you from my truck, of course. I'm just a lowly plumber, essential worker. So, not all that technologically advanced, so I haven't got around to teaching myself how to use a video sharing app. But anyway, I wanted to ask all of you if anybody's seen the movie Oil Storm. I've seen it about 2 years ago. It was brought to my attention, and the parallels in this movie, I guess this is going to be a spoiler alert video, but it'd be pretty wise just to go watch it and see what kind of propaganda they put out there, how they tell us what they're going to do before they do it to absolve themselves of any responsibility. But in the movie, it was a category 1 or 2 coming up through the Gulf of Mexico, and overnight, within hours, it went from a 2 to a 5 and hit New Orleans. And the parallels of this movie and what happened during Katrina is uncanny. From the Superdome being used as the shelter, the busing them out to Houston, FEMA showing up late, the Danziger Bridge shooting, the levee being blown up, because many people in Chalmette heard bombs going off when the levee broke. I guess it's possible it could sound like that, but I highly doubt it, because this movie was to a T how the first several weeks of Katrina happened. The first half of the movie was about Katrina. The second half, in the movie, the hurricane hit Port Fourchon and not New Orleans. However, New Orleans got the same exact damage as in the movie. The government reaction to it, same exact thing as in the movie. The second half of the movie was the fact that when it landed in Port Fourchon, if anybody knows about South Louisiana, I know Big Sib's from around that area, so he would know. That's like a major hub for offshore drilling and crew boats that supply the rigs out in the Gulf that drill and pump our oil. And in the movie, I haven't done much research on what actually comes out of the Gulf, but in the movie, it supplies about 1 million barrels a day. And when the hurricane in the movie hit, it severed that pipeline, which pretty much crippled America. And as much stuff as they're throwing at us right now, and Ebola just now hitting the news again, I can just see they're going to hit us with a pretty big hurricane as well. This year, according to the National Weather Service, they're predicting 14 to 18 named storms, 7 to 9 hurricanes, and 2 to 4 major hurricanes. Well, typically major hurricanes come through the Gulf and hit the Gulf South. I'm about 60 miles north of New Orleans, and we got pretty devastated here. The Mississippi coast, of course, was devastated. New Orleans was devastated. But in the movie, after the pipeline was severed, it pretty much brought the economy to a screeching halt. As truckers weren't able to drive because of the lack of oil. No diesel, no fuel. The military was brought in just like they were in Katrina. But George Bush, the bumbling idiot that he was, plays in the movie. And it couldn't have been news clips from after Katrina, because, like I said, this came out beforehand. But he brokered a deal with Saudi Arabia in this movie for 1 million barrels of oil to try and make up for what we lost coming out of the Gulf. And it was just, it ultimately resulted in World War III, like nuking each other behind some oil. And anybody that's done enough research into the Freemasons, I'm sure you found Albert Pike's book. I think it's Morals and Dogma. It might be another book he wrote that kind of forecasts the lead up to all 3 world wars that we've been involved in, the outcome, the whole 9. So now we got this hurricane coming across the Yucatan Peninsula down in Mexico. And last night we were looking at the forecast, my wife and I, and there's 2 forecasts, I think 3, but 2 of them bring it right over Port Fourchon. It's kind of ironic. I have no doubt that the government would do just the same as if we were to get hit by a hurricane now as they did when Katrina hit, because it don't seem our government ever learns anything from their emergency responses. But now we got these riots going on, and that would just add to the mayhem and chaos that they're trying to create. So I just want to put this out there for anybody who wants to go look it up, watch the movie. It's pretty interesting. But I was on my way home just now, and let me show you guys this. I can't even see if it's showing. Anyway, I don't know if you can see that thing. It's like a fire truck. I wanted to bust a U-turn and come back and show it, but these particular fire trucks I've seen used in crowd control, and they're heading south towards New Orleans. They're about 50 miles now from being in New Orleans. So are we fixing to have rioting in New Orleans? I can only imagine we will. It's a major city. But anyway, back to the subject at hand. We got this storm heading this way. We know they can excite these storms in a matter of hours to go from small ones to huge ones. And this will be the first one of the year. They're not predicting it to be much of anything like they did Katrina. The last 2 years we've had quite a few storms that they were saying was going to be these major hurricanes, and the last one I spent hours hurricane proofing my yard. It was the one that tore up Florida over there, like the 2-mile section of beach that flattened houses, and 33 stealth bombers disappeared or whatnot, just vanished. It's great. But many YouTubers followed that storm and showed that the conditions just weren't there for it to blow up the way it did. And how did a hurricane that came in over, pretty much right over New Orleans, did so much damage to the Mississippi coast, but yet that one, I can't think of the name right off the bat, but that particular one only tore up a short section of beach. Anything past that to the left or right, houses were still standing, no flooding, no storm surge. And you can Google map Waveland, Mississippi, Highway 603, where I-10 crosses 603. There's a little memorial type thing that shows how high the water level got. Sorry, I'm trying to get back on the interstate. But it was probably 15 feet, give or take, at I-10 bridge, the overpass on Interstate 10. That's the type of storm surge Katrina brought in, but yet that Category 5 over there in Florida only, not did it bring in any storm surge, but it only flattened the 2 to 3 mile section of beach and houses, maybe a mile inland, but no storm surge. I probably lived 3 hours west of there, maybe 4 hours west of there, and the wind didn't even blow at my house, but they hyped this storm up for probably 36 to 48 hours on the news. I just want everybody to know about Oil Storm, for one, because nobody really has ever heard of that movie. I didn't until about 2 years ago. But everybody in the Gulf South, from Corpus Christi to Pensacola, Florida, be ready. If they start downgrading a storm, just be ready to bounce, man. Because as we all know by now, the news, well, they're not bringing you the news, they're bringing you propaganda. So please be vigilant, be sober-minded, and ready for anything that they can throw at us, because this is not going to stop.